Today on State of Mind, we have Marcus Coloma, who is a very talented actor. Look, we've become friends now, pretty close in the last couple months. He's very talented, and I looked him up. I looked you up, and this guy has so many credits that I just gave up trying to memorize a few or this or that. Hella guest spots.
Thanks, man.
Damn. And it's okay, well,
And some series regulars in there, just so you know.
Not just guest spots. But I didn't know. I didn't go
Of course,
check it
it
out.
doesn't say it on the thing.
He's on General Hospital. He plays, the big deal Cassadine. And how you doing, man?
So great, man.
But let me tell you something about this stuff that you've done. So many. Do you know when I was an actor? Which is kind of interesting. We could talk about this kind of early on. All I wanted was one guest shot. Just one. And I only really started getting other acting jobs 3 years ago.
Well, let me put your mind at ease right now. So, right before I booked General Hospital, I had a really good year. I shot a big national commercial. There was like a helicopter. It was massive.
No.
It was huge.
Yeah.
I made really good money on it. I shot an ABC pilot in Dallas. It was a series regular with some like big names attached to it. It was a great year. I worked 4 days out of the entire year. The commercial was 1 day. The pilot was 1 day. I did, I think, another commercial and another pilot. 4 days. And when General Hospital, I was like, I'm never going to become a great actor working 4 days a year, you know? So it's like Beverly Hills Chihuahua was a big franchise. It was, I think it made over $60 million. It only cost like $10 million. It exploded, right? It was only like 3 weeks of shooting.
Beverly Hills Chihuahua?
Yeah, so I did this franchise. I wasn't in the first one. Then they did
What
the whole,
was the first one called?
Beverly Hills Chihuahua, and then there was Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2 and 3.
I love Beverly Hills. Is that a movie?
It's a movie. George Lopez plays
I
the
love
dog.
Beverly
Yeah,
Hills
man.
Chihuahua. And you did Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2?
2
But
and
2
3.
wasn't as good.
2 was better because
Oh,
they
it
brought
was?
me in it.
I like that. That was good. No, but I'm not joking.
Yeah,
That was
one
good.
One was good. I
Yeah.
remember. And anyway, point is that, and I've told you this a lot, but you know, there's this thing. I think it's called Outliers, where it talks about 10,000 hours to become a master. And I feel like what I really love about us working together is because I think you're a master of acting, and I think I don't think I've ever met one before, you know?
That
I've
has
seen
10,000 hours?
that's worked 10,000 hours, because I don't know where you could do that.
Unless you're like old, like somebody in his 80s that has done enough movies.
And maybe not even that guy, honestly, because let's say you do a movie and it's like 2 months, 3, you know what I mean? Like a lot of movies shoot in a month, where you've probably done like 30,000 hours of acting, wouldn't you say? Like over the last 28 years?
I would guess, man.
Because of the amount of stuff.
Too many.
So that's what really appealed to me in
Wow.
General Hospital, because you don't do acting for the security. You're never going to feel secure financially, I don't think.
No.
You know what I mean? You do it because of the love and the pursuit of eventually becoming a craftsman that can really hopefully move people with acting, which you do literally daily and have done daily for years. So that's what was really exciting to me about getting into General Hospital, and honestly working with you too. Is it's been I finally feel like I'm starting to understand acting after 25 years of being an actor, going to so many different acting classes.
Well, let's get back to that and just talk a tiny bit about where you from. Where'd you grow up, bro?
Grew up, I was born in Utah. My mom got pregnant young.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's a whole interesting kind of
How
thing.
old?
But anyway, she was 19 when she had my brother, so I think she was 18.
Yeah.
So she follows my dad to Utah. He got a full ride scholarship to BYU. He's like this incredible athlete. And then I was born and raised in Utah. They were young kids and they were in student housing, and there were all these kids, and so it took me a while to learn how to walk because they kept knocking me down, which I think was kind of interesting, just in the sense of a life analogy. But anyway, so we go to Northern California, and I was basically raised in the boonies, man, the mountains. My backyard was a national forest. It was like Cobb Mountain in Northern California, yeah. So I moved there when I was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7, and was there until I was about 17, and I moved out of the house.
What nationality?
My dad has Filipino, Spanish.
Yeah, you have a little.
Yeah, so he's from Hawaii, which is kind of a melting pot.
Yeah.
My mom is white, so she's, I would say, mainly Irish.
That's a good combination.
Yeah, but she looks kind of Italian, but apparently she's mainly Irish. Yeah.
Any, like, anxiety, depression, or like when you were young?
Huge, man.
No.
Yeah. Huge. I mean, I literally couldn't talk to people. I remember asking my mom, how do you talk to people? Because I always felt this strong love for people, but I was terrified of talking to people, and I was super anxious. And
isn't that social anxiety, or
I don't even know. I just couldn't. I was literally like, I'd try to talk to people, and I'd want to talk to them, and I want to know about them, and I couldn't.
Were you nervous?
So nervous. Like I would feel it physically. It physically felt it, and super depressed, especially around like 15, 16 when I started falling in love and all of that stuff. And there were a lot of suicidal themes in my life, like Hamlet and Lethal Weapon. There's a scene where and so that idea started to creep in, and so there was some stuff younger for sure, but it's really changed and evolved. And in hindsight, when I would see a movie, like I would see Grease, and I'd be like, oh, I want to be a singer. Or I'd see Elvis Presley in Jailhouse Rock, and I'd be like, I want to be a singer. Or I'd see Tom Cruise in Top Gun, and I'd be like, I want to be a jet pilot. Or I'd see Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon, and I wanted to be a cop. Or I would read Hamlet, and I would be like, oh, to be or not to be, man. That's the question I ask myself all the time. And I think what was happening is I didn't know that I wanted to be an actor, because I didn't know that was even a possibility. But I think I was kind of like almost in a weird, uneducated way taking on these different roles where I would be, be very.
If you had these suicidal thoughts, right? So we know what you felt about yourself at that point.
Yeah.
So your imagination, I'm not trying to be a therapist.
Yeah.
But your imagination was wild.
Yeah.
And that was the beautiful, now I'm getting emotional even talking about it. That was the beautiful part about it. It's almost like when I was so depressed that when I would dream, I would be happy.
Wow, man. Interesting.
The only time I would be happy is when I was dreaming. Because and I remember the dreams, it was like daisies, man. Me running I just got chills. Me running in the field, man.
Wow.
And it was like, and then I'd wake up and go, oh, fuck.
Wow.
Right? So you were in a place that was dark, obviously, or whatever it was early on in your life. So your imagination was telling you, this is what you need to.
Yeah, man, it's interesting because I remember, it got dark, man. When I just didn't know, like, what made a person valuable, what made a person worthy. You know what I mean? And that's where it got really dark when I was a young man, like 16, 15. It was like.
Did you find that answer?
Years later.
So you had to sit with the feeling of what's valuable and why do I feel this way and how come I can't talk to people?
Yeah.
For years?
Years, man.
Woo!
Years. And it's funny that you talk about dreams because I used to have this I had two recurring dreams. One was I'd be trying to get up. I'd feel nervous and I'd try to go up to my parents' house to go to sleep in my mom's bed, right? Which is too old to be doing it, but that's what I wanted to do. And I would. And I kept dreaming that the devil was grabbing my feet, man. And the floor was melting underneath me and the devil was trying to grab my feet. And I was trying to climb up these stairs, which is so metaphorically interesting, man. Because isn't that like the struggle of life? It's like you're trying to get better and things pull you down. And the other recurring dream was that I would be falling. And I was super high up and I couldn't stop falling. And then one day, and my mom, and she taught me a couple interesting things. And she was like, one, it was really weird, but she was like, you don't have to be ticklish. Because she would tickle me and I would be like super ticklish. And then I would try to tickle her and she wouldn't laugh. I'd be like, how are you doing that? She's like, you just decide you don't have to be ticklish.
Wow.
And I did that and then I wasn't ticklish. So that was one lesson. And then the other thing she taught me was like, you can control your dreams. And there was this big moment for me where I was falling. And I was asleep and I was falling and I was like, okay, I'm not going to fall. And I stopped falling and I was able to float. And it was a moment for me, man, because those two things taught me a couple of things about life is just because your body or whatever is going on, like you might feel super depressed and you might feel these really dangerous, dark thoughts. Like you don't have to be ticklish. You don't have to succumb to it. Whereas before I would lay in bed literally all day long. And I found out when you're feeling the worst, you have to not be ticklish. You have to not do what you don't want to do, or you have to do what you don't want to do. So it's like, you got to go for a walk. Yes. You got to eat right. You can't just do the other stuff that it's like adding more and more weight on.
I get you. Like, how about like do nothing? That's the worst.
It's the worst, dude. It's the worst.
That's an interesting, now that we're getting into all this right away, which is fine. I find that with anxiety, depression, I'm I'm helping somebody right now. We won't give out the name, but what I say is when you have anxiety and depression, which is just kind of not as bad, you can do all this and get through it. But when you have horrible anxiety like I've had, nothing helps, bro. You have reached the point of no return in a sense. You got to get professional help. And do not wait 4 months like I did, thinking, oh, well, I'll do this, I'll do that. You still have to do all that stuff because it's all better than laying in bed, but you got to get help, man. That's my opinion.
100%.
Okay?
100%.
Because you've gone over the thing. But the way to not have this happen is you just prevent it from happening.
Yeah.
Now, you meditate, you work out, you eat right. So I told you about the gears. You stay in first and second gear. You don't have to deal with anxiety. Guess what? Guess why? Because it ain't gonna happen. Okay.
That's right, man. That's right.
And you eliminate all the stress.
Yeah.
You got to eliminate all the stress.
See, this is the interesting thing to me about stress that I was gonna talk to you about, because when I was 16 and I got to that really, really, really dark spot, there was a very negative person.
Ooh.
And I wonder if stress is almost, if there's a relationship between negative people or toxic people and stress. Because I've been broke, man. I've been broke with positive people around me, and I've been broke with people that are negative. And that's where I think, to me, the self-destructive mindset Do you? And I'm curious about your take on this. Do you think that the stress, the self-negative talk stems from having toxic or negative people around you?
Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Something I've never talked. It's in my book, I think. I don't remember what's in my. I was losing my mind at 21 years old. Didn't know I was losing my mind, but I knew that I was really messed up somehow. Yeah, I was having a manic episode, and eventually I was put in a mental institution. Okay. I went with a friend of mine who's kind of a jealous guy. Jealous guy.
Oh, that song.
He's we went to my agent's house one night, and I showed him a tape that I had of me on a talk show doing an MTV video, and just because I was letting him know I'm going to be an actor, man. I was modeling at that time.
Whoa.
Very unsuccessful model. Okay.
Okay.
Because I'm too short. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But I was letting him know I'm going to do this, man. Wow. Okay. So I put the tape in. This is why I get crazy about my own son. Because I know what's going to go on with my son. So if anybody gives me any negative vibes, it's the same feeling. Okay. So the tape ends. It's quiet. And then the subject's changed.
Interesting.
Okay?
By this jealous friend?
Yeah, by both.
Yeah.
My agent and
man.
So we go into the living room. I'm sitting here, my friend's sitting there, my agent's sitting there. My agent proceeds to tell me, why would you even think you're going to make it as an actor?
Gosh, man. Isn't that disgusting, dude?
And I said, well, because I'm studying and I feel it in here, in my heart.
Amazing.
No, I'm not joking.
This is incredible.
And my friend sitting right there listening.
And he's just so happy because he's jealous. And
Yes.
He's like, yeah.
So then on the way home, I'm feeling, this is all stress.
Yeah, of
the
course,
stress, you know,
man.
we talked about stress here.
Yeah.
So it's stressful. So then my friend goes, what's wrong? And I said, well, didn't you hear what he said? He goes, well. And I said, you didn't even back me up. You don't say anything. He goes, well, I mean, I'm not, it's, you know, what he's saying is pretty what? So I go back to his house, and then I go home. And that's about 5 days later, I'm in a mental institution.
Wow, man. Interesting. Okay, because that confirms. So when you ask me, like, you know, do I still have the dark? I think what I've gotten better at finally is spotting these things, because sometimes that's not somebody saying you're worthless, but just the shifting of the subject is what they're doing, even though they're not saying that.
Yes.
They're saying it without saying it.
Without saying it.
And sometimes that stuff is so.
But Marcus, it's energy.
It's energy, and I've gotten better at seeing it.
We cannot. Yeah, here's, because I know you now. When I get to know somebody, I can almost feel things that they don't have that. And you're starting to get it.
Yeah.
But you're such a good guy that, and there's nothing wrong with it, that you kind of, you overly trust, or, you know.
It's funny, I had a breakthrough again from you, because we were talking about acting, and we were talking about emotions and stuff like that. And I shot this great scene, dude. I'm not going to talk about what it is because it hasn't aired yet, but I really feel like I killed it, and I had a huge breakthrough, because you were talking about how to get emotional stuff. And I realized for me, I kept trying to, like, think of horrible things, and that just shuts me down. I think it's from struggles in life where, like, you know, when you come from, like, you know, my hometown, there was racism, there was a lot of things in my background and ethnicity. I'm not gonna cry about that. If no matter how bad it gets, I won't cry because there's more of a, like, there's this irrational fight urge that comes on me where it's like I will die. I remember my brother used to babysit me, and he was bigger than me, and it was like he tied me up by my leg and was like, and my brother, I love my brother, he's a great guy, but you know, he was a kid and he was babysitting me because it was different times and he was a young kid. But he was like, if you tell mom, he was basically beating me and saying, like, you better not tell mom. And I was like, I'm gonna tell mom, even though I was crying and he's beating me, right? So to me, that stuff just, but I realized what does is love. Because you told me about thinking about my daughter and stuff like that. And I was just telling you, I just saw West Side Story and I got emotional in the movie. And because what it was is it's like the love story in this world full of hate and the beautiful sadness of trying to love in a world where there's so much hate.
Yeah.
That's what breaks my heart.
Yeah.
That's what makes me cry is when I see somebody like you, honestly, that I feel like has so much love and has this struggle. And in my personal mind, and I know, and this isn't to discredit anything that, but to me, what I see is I feel like there's certain spirits that have so much love, and there's constant.
What's your hand on the thing?
Oh yeah, there's constant heartbreak because there's so much love, and that heartbreak can equal depression and all these other things. But really,
Yes.
what I think it is the love, which is kind of a weird tangent
I like
that I
that.
went off of. But that's
I like
what I
that.
feel. I found that's what kind of hits me. You know
I like
what I mean?
that.
Yeah.
You know, people always want to talk about grief, and you know, my dad just died.
Yeah.
You know, I always say, and I believe it, that when you die, you know, it's like when someone dies, they leave you a gift.
Wow.
And I can't tell you what the gift is, but it'll come to you in any form.
Interesting.
Like one time my friend died, and it was like 3 hawks flying in the sky, man. I know it was him, right? And then my other Donna died recently, my makeup artist, and it's like she left me strength. I didn't cry when she died. I was so strong, right? And then my dad just died, and I did my crying, bro. Day, you know, for a whole day, whatever. But I'm at such peace, man. I don't, when I look at pictures of my dad, I just see a great man. I don't see a dead man. I don't see a man that's not here anymore. He's still here, right? And the same goes with when we suffer through heartache, anxiety, anything that punishes you, that makes you feel chaos inside your mind or whatever. We just have to get through it. When we get through it, guess what? There's another gift. You know what that gift is? Could be anything. But I'll tell you what it's been for me. It's the gift of strength. That you went through it. It's like a fighter in the ring, man. You're in there, you're fighting, you're getting beat up, you're hit, and then you get to the 12th round and you did it. What bigger gift than that? But you had to go through that, right? So if we think in terms of all the, but you have to think of other people that don't see it that way, and they become victims. They don't take the road of reward. They take the road of why. Stop. And I remember I told you, stop asking why. Just think of it as a gift. If you say why, you become a victim. Oh, and I've done that. Dude, I've been going through this I'm almost 60, right? Keep saying I'm almost 60. I'm 58. But I am almost 60. So it is, I think we have to look at suffering and everything as a good thing. That's my opinion.
I love that, man.
Right?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's funny because as I'm getting older, and everybody goes through it, but there's a fear almost that hits because you're like, everything that I thought made me worthy was being a young man. You know what I mean? And when I turned about 40, I'm 43 now, but when I turned 40, there was this shift of like, I feel like it's points on a scoreboard now. Like it's like, how many points did that guy get on his scoreboard? Because life is hard, man.
Hard.
Yeah.
And you need to open up. You need to cry. That's only going to make you a great actor. Because if you don't, listen, I told you already, I spent the first 20 years acting to win an Emmy and to get a tear down my cheek. That was the goal. That's ridiculous. Okay? Once I stopped doing that, I got better.
Wow, dude, interesting.
So yes, I did win one Emmy, right? Out of 20 years. Okay?
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Right.
In the next 8 years, I gave up all that. And things started coming easily for me as far as emotions and tears and everything. And I had a much better time in that 8 years in my acting. A lot of it is relaxation.
Interesting, man.
The more you relax tears, so you're able to.
Yeah, no, it's so true. When you were talking, it's interesting because I had this realization about the gears, and the emotion is like, for me as a survival point, I was like, I can't let myself go to that place because if I get too sad or depressed,
right?
I shut down, dude. It's like debilitating. I will like literally shut down, man. Like I won't get out of bed. You know what I mean? And so I think after years and years of survival, it's like I will only let myself experience a certain amount of emotion because if I go to that fifth, sixth gear place, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? So I just realized.
Yeah, but Marcus, listen to me. The fifth, sixth gear place is if you're having anxiety or your major depression and you're just allowing it to get worse and worse and worse without getting help. You need in your life to go cry. All that, it's almost like the more you do it in your life, the easier it will get.
Interesting.
You know, I had an acting coach told me one, very smart man. He says, you're not really going to make it until you leave your home with your mom and dad and tell everybody that you love them. He was right.
Interesting.
He was right. Now, I've done, I'm very successful, but I have not been able to, and that it's a thing that kills me to this day, that I can't be as verbal as I should be. Even with my kids and my wife, you would think, come on, no, kills me.
Interesting.
Kills me.
That blows me away because I feel like you're such a communicative guy.
Yes. But I'm not affectionate. There's a lot of issues that I have that I talk about, but I can't, I work on myself and I'm good at looking in the mirror and going, just like I can tell you need to allow yourself. Because the more you allow yourself to cry and not, I was taught as a kid, don't cry. Or laughing at, he's crying. Or my mom's crying and we're all laughing at her. Mom, come on, man. My dad and my brother, And so, So what happened to me, as I've said it already, is I think that when I had my first nervous breakdown, I was put in a mental institution. Every moment I cried, almost like making up for 20 years.
Wow.
That's all I did is cry.
Wow.
My mom and dad would come in, but you know, my girlfriend at the time would come in, cry, because it was like, you know, crying is valuable, bro. You know, you can't. And then now when I act, it's so freeing. Because of the first 20 years, I'm like, come on, tear. Come on, tear. You playing a scene, somebody's dead right here, and you're like, God damn, I gotta get that tear coming. Come on. Oh, there it is. I feel it.
Oh, man,
And
it's
you know
so
what happens
true.
now with the Alzheimer's story? Like river.
That was beautiful stuff, man.
River.
And just so connected
Was
to
like,
though.
my dad had Alzheimer's at the same time, and I had to go in to play this, and he looked like my dad. It wasn't. It was. It is what it is. But what if I had played this story 20 years ago?
Interesting.
Wouldn't have been the same.
Right. Interesting. Yeah.
But what about your real relationships? I want to know about that, dude.
I've been having some breakthroughs, bro.
But you've had rough times in the past with.
It's been my Achilles heel for sure.
What is your Achilles heel?
It's, you know what it is I feel like it's the one area that I felt like I couldn't become fully cause over. It was the one area because, you know, let's say Joe says, "Oh, you're a piece of, you're worthless." I'm like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? I have defenses in every other area of my life. Even if on set, if General Hospital and blah blah blah, and they were to fire me, I would bounce back and I'd be fine. I'd be like, there's something about a girl and that closeness that, man, I would go haywire. I would like self-sabotage. A lot of fear and anxiety comes into that world, and there was a girl that I loved a lot. Actually, the last two relationships that I pumped the brakes, you know what I mean? But really, I just sabotaged the thing, and I loved them, and I broke up with them, and it was kind of out of nowhere, and they're like, "What's going on?" And I was just like, "I just don't think this is working, and why is it?" Like this one girl, it was literally like 2 a.m, man. I wake her up, and I'm like, "Hey, I don't think this is working."
What? Marcus.
Oh, dude. I
What
know.
is? But where is that?
This is tricky because we've become such good friends now. I'll tell you things that I probably wouldn't have told you.
Where is this coming from?
Oh.
Fear of abandonment? Fear of not being loved enough? Fear of loving too much? What is it?
I mean, look, I will say I'm very competitive and I want to be the best. And if I'm not, the problem, the good thing about that is I'm like you said, you'll look in the mirror and you'll self-improve. My life is self-improvement. It's literally like, what did I do wrong? How can I improve that? What did I do wrong? How can I improve that?
But is it the girl that you don't think is good enough?
No, it's usually...
We're not naming any names here, so you can be honest.
I don't believe that I'm good enough for the girl, and I think that at some point she'll figure that out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh,
But I've had a huge breakthrough, honestly, talking to you, talking to Steve Burton as well, and I'm seeing this girl right now, and I'm not letting myself go there anymore. I'm not letting myself go to the counter creative thing, which I would do this as an actor too. Like I'd book a series regular, and then I would start doing weird things. Like I would self-sabotage. It was like, that.
I'm a little fascinated by this right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that I haven't really fully discovered until I'm 43 years old. You know what I mean?
So you think it's self-worth?
I think there's some self-worth issues, but it's weird because it's not like I think, it's that I want to be the best. And if I'm not the best, I don't want to play. And it's a bit of a
But what does that have to do with waking up a girl at 2 a.m?
Because it's like, I don't believe she's into it. You know what I mean?
But what does that have to do with wanting to be the best?
Because I feel like maybe she thinks there's somebody else better out there for her, or she might be better with a taller guy. She might be better with a whatever guy,
Okay.
and that I don't want her to settle. You know what I mean?
But why don't you let her decide?
And that, my friend, that's the right thing. That's the right way to lead your life. Is like, I think somebody should go for it. And if somebody's going to fire them, then they should let that person make that decision. But it's kind of like trying to be like, you can't fire me, I quit. You know?
Yeah.
It's that thing.
You're trying to get ahead of them.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's afraid of being, you're afraid of being hurt.
And the funny thing is, and this is the thing that I realized, is the thing about fear, and when you lead your life out of fear, the thing that you're afraid of is what happens, because you make it happen. Afraid of being left, and so then I end it and cause the girl to leave before she would have fucking left.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As
And
an
you know what
actor,
you
all
also,
these things. Yeah.
you know what you also caused? You don't know if that would have been your Paula
I think there was probably a couple of them that would.
in life. You don't even know, bro.
I know.
It could have been like like, can you imagine if I said to Paula we met when she was 16. If I said to Paula at 20, 21, we were in New York, we were both in New York, she was 20, 21. If I said, this is not, I almost did though, but that was a different reason, not your reason. Wow. Where would my life?
Well, I'm curious. I have questions for you on this.
Okay.
So it's like, when I got recast recently, it stirs all that stuff up of like you're replaceable, blah, 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 blah.
And you replaced my friend Tyler Christopher.
Who's amazing, by
a
the way.
great
I'd
act-
seen
yes,
him. He's
yes.
absolutely incredible.
Yes.
I would love if somehow we could all work together, because I thought he's incredible.
Yes.
And that's been a struggle for myself, because it's one thing if you're replacing somebody that you think you're better than, but honestly, I think he's great. I think he's absolutely great. So anyway, there's so many handsome, funny, charming, good-looking guys, right? You've been married now for a long time. What did you ever have doubt? Did you just have a certainty that you were the guy for her? Like, how do you make that last for so long? What's the viewpoint of that? Because I almost feel, me and my friends joke about this, because in LA, you kind of have to have defense. Because if you're dating a pretty girl, it's like chum in the water where there's just all of these sharks, you know what I mean? It's like blood in the water. And does that make any sense? Is there a question? My question is like, what gave you the certainty that Paula is gonna love you that long? And like, how did you make that last? And what's your viewpoint on relationships and marriage and love and a one woman,
Well, I always have that thing. I always say the three things. Hi, how are you? Do you love animals? Yes. Do you love children? Yes. Knock, knock, who's there? Blah, 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 blah. She laughs. I know we're on a good. Now, if 2 out of 3 say no, then, so with Paula, she checked all that. She loves animals. She loves kids. No matter if I was funny or not, she'd laugh.
Amazing.
It's a cute thing, right? And then you have to also say to yourself, especially with us, it's just meant to be. And I didn't love her for a long time.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like,
in the beginning, it took about 5, I don't know how many years.
Years.
Yeah, it wasn't like, and then I just.
Were you married?
No, what happened was we it's a long story. You can read Nothing General about it. But we got together. I was 21. She was 16. Which first time we met, she was 16, working in a mall, and then we started dating when she was 17, and then we lived together forever. Right? We went to New York together, and then we went through a rough patch where I didn't know if this kind of similar, but I didn't know if this was going to work. So I needed a weekend away. And that weekend was hell. It's kind of like what women, since it's not a good weekend. And I realized what a freaking moron I was. So I remember, never forget, I'm in my dressing room at all my children. And I think I was crying. And I called Paul up. And I said, listen, I just had a dream that you died. And I won an Academy Award. And I was thanking you in heaven. And I said, you know, let's get back together. And after that, we got married, and that was it.
Wow, man.
So I did go through those period, you know, that period of questioning whether but thank God.
God, that's beautiful, man. And then it was just solid and good.
Well, then you know, I mean, my book, How Love and Lithium Saved My Life. I mean, she's been through everything with me as far as, you know, all the hard times of mental illness. I threatened to kill her. I, you know, scared the hell out of her. And, you know, been a lot of we've been together over 30 years.
See, and that's the thing, man. I think this is an interesting, very delicate topic because it's very controversial. But I feel like when I was young, there was this kind of, it seemed like an attack against family because it was like, you don't want to get into an abusive relationship, right? And I agree with that. But I think what's missing maybe now is a lack of grit and a lack of like, and this is delicate because there were some relationships that I agree shouldn't happen, but I'll say my parents who have been together since they were 13, they've gone through some stuff, man. Like some stuff. Just, I don't know if abuse is the right word because the way I look at it is people have issues, man. And some of my best friends, we've gotten into some very heavy, nasty stuff. But the beauty of it is we're there for each other on the other side of it. And I was just talking to this girl about codependency, where that was a really big thing when I was about 16, and that you shouldn't be codependent, and you know everyone should be able to be whole by themselves. And I was like, what if that's wrong? I'm not saying it is, but what if it is wrong? And what if man needs woman and woman needs man, or man needs man, whatever the love is, but a partner needs a partner. And this world, you do need to codepend on somebody, because I'll tell you, man, like being a single parent on either end, I've never seen that. It seems like something's missing. And I think that two people in love, again, whatever the sex is.
And you are a parent. Let's just put that out there.
Yeah. I am a parent. And I think that my daughter suffers from a mom and a dad not being together. And I don't think codependency is wrong. And maybe there's a different definition of the word.
What is the definition of codependency?
I think, from my understanding, was that two people feel like they need each other to survive. But I think two people do need each other to survive, man. Like, I think about my parents and looking back, and my dad was working so much. Without my mom watching the kids and taking care of and making the sacrifices she was, they wouldn't have been able to survive, you know?
Look, I went from one mother to another mother. I always have mothers. Okay? I get what you're saying. But here's where the scary part happens.
Yeah, I know. There's a scary part to this.
I'm going to tell you the scary part.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how to do anything.
Okay.
I don't know how to wash clothes. I don't know how to do anything. Okay, fine. Okay. But I'm learning now to do things. And you know why it's important? Because what if your wife dies?
Right.
And that's where codependency would kill you. It's hard.
Well, and see, that's okay. So this is where I do think codependency would be bad. Is if it's the only game you're playing.
Yeah.
Like, and when you're younger, like Romeo and Juliet, as romantic as I think that story is, look, those kids didn't know each other that long, and that was the only thing they had going on. Like, I think you could be dependent upon his survival, but not in a way that that's the only thing.
Yes, yes.
Like, all you're doing is laying in
Yes.
bed and having sex, and you're not, like, pursuing your dreams, and you're not... I feel like that idea works if the guy is, or the woman is following their dreams and they're pursuing it, but they both depend on each other. But it's not the only thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with that.
And I think maybe that was the thing that I was missing as a kid.
Because what's happening now out in the world is nobody gives a shit about anything, you know.
And it's like this, the smallest thing, and it's like,
Yeah.
this isn't working out.
Yeah, I'm gone.
I'm out.
And nobody's really, you know.
There's no grit.
Look, you know, what we need right now, and I hate to say it, the world needs love, man.
The world needs love.
And I know it's cliche. And
It is, but unfortunately, it's not hitting home, I think.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But it's what we need is.
It's the thing.
Is really just not stop judging. Let's just look at things in a different light, different glasses, and just love one another, man. Man, this has been a phenomenal for me talking with you.
I love
I know
talking
we're
to
friends,
you so much,
but
man. It's always the best. I get so much out of it. It's amazing.
But this is like different. This is cool as hell. And I want to end it with a song. Is that all right?
Yeah. You're going to sing a song?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Amazing.
Yeah. When you're a jet, you're a top cat in town. You're a gold medal kid with a heavyweight crown.
When you're a jet. I don't know the line.
Let them do what they can. You got brothers around. You're a family man. You're never alone. You're never disconnected. You're home with your own. When company's suspected, you're well protected. Then you're set with the capital J, which you'll never forget till they cart you away. When you're a jet, you... What?
Or...
Oh, man, I messed
know.
up the end.
That's incredible, dude. Did you audition for that?
No, but I used to watch the movie all the time.
Gosh, man.
Okay, so I know you saw West Side Story. So this is how we're going to conclude this one, right? First of all, I want to say how great Marcus has been. This is really good for you because it shows you in a great light.
Well, hey, man, thank you so much.
No, I
like,
know,
you've
I
had
know.
such a freaking positive effect on
I
my
get
life,
it,
man.
but I'm
And
telling
I
you,
appreciate you so much.
This is going to be real cool for you because we don't get to see this.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't get to see this, so that was like I had some realizations, and I appreciate it. Man.
Yeah, and
it's a very spiritual journey, and I really
it's spiritual in this
so
room.
much, man. Yeah.
It's like something happens in here, bro.
Great.
All right, Marcus, we did it,
dude. Amazing, man.
What do you think?
I loved it. Thank you,
man. Thank you.
Thank you.